You're listening to Linda Pinizzato, and this show is called The Condo Expert, sponsored by Bayshore Health and Wellness and powered by the Hayes FM here in Mississauga. You know, a lot of controversy, a lot of concerns are coming to the forefront. I know there's a number of different consultations actually throughout the province, and very heavily involved are some of the ratepayers associations within the different communities, especially those that have a high density of condominiums. Now, if I take a look at the structure in downtown Toronto, for instance, did you realize that there's actually 70,000 condominium owners and growing in that immediate downtown core? And that actually is an area called Trinity Spadina. And where is Trinity Spadina? Well, Trinity Spadina pretty much, if I just give generalization of the locations, would be from Lake Ontario over from Yonge Street, moving over towards Dufferin and up towards pretty much Bloor and above, slightly above. And then it zigzags in and out of, different communities. But that gives you a general idea. And today we're actually going to have a wonderful conversation with Mike Yen, who is actually the founder and executive director of a new association called the Toronto Entertainment District Residents Association, and better yet, in short form, it's called TEDRA. So, Mike, I'd like to welcome you to the Condo Expert Radio Show.
Oh, hi, Linda, and thanks for getting me involved in this. And I really want to thank you for coming out to our community meetings and speaking on your expertise in condominium issues and really helping our local residents understand what these issues are and how our various levels of government are trying to deal with this. And it's quite shocking when our local politicians don't even have half the knowledge that you have on these matters.
Well, thank you. I first have to thank you very much for your compliment, and I know it's always a pleasure working with you. And we have such a huge task ahead of us. It's unfathomable that it actually got as far as it has over the years. Like the Condo Act is already since 1998.
Yes, it's quite crazy down here, and having lived in this area since 2007, I've seen the rapid growth. And, we say down here, as residents, we're not against development, and we aren't. It's how these developments are being approved and the quality of them and how it affects our lives down here. And what we're seeing is just a lot of backdoor dealing where, they're tearing down our heritage buildings, they're tearing down our favorite restaurants, and they're putting these massive condos that have nothing to contribute to the community. And it's all backdoor deals with our local councillor and developers. And community meeting after community meeting, we complain and we say, no, this is not what we want here, and he doesn't listen to us. And it's really frustrating, and I know you're dealing with the condo structures and the build qualities and how to protect condo dwellers. Our position is, well, okay, now we have a community here, and how do we interact with this community, and what services, city services like TTC or policing or fire services that we can receive down here, and even quality of life like parks and places to shop even, just very simple things like that. And it seems like the city is really out of touch with what's going on, and they have no intention of listening to us. And, we just got to keep fighting along, and hopefully, we can do something.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think the main concern, if there's some way that a huge call to action for condo owners across the province could step up to the plate would be really important. Because, unfortunately, a lot of condominium owners they show way too much apathy. And I know I've been, as well as yourself, I've been to a lot of these condo consultations and discussions with respect to the City of Toronto. And, if I take a total, I know that they've put it back on black and white in their pamphlet. They're saying approximately 1,500 people participated by attending meetings and or completing an online survey. 1,500. Like, what on earth? Where is everybody else?
And having myself ran into elections down here, I've knocked on the door of every condominium here at least 4 times in a 2-year span. And I can tell you that most people are on the same page with their needs, but again, they're so out of it they're so disengaged that they don't really know what's going on until it's already happened. And it's a real shame that we don't get enough of these people out, because that is real power. That's political power to make sure our politicians are doing the right thing so these condo issues are addressed. Now, the dynamics of this particular area, Trinity-Spadina, which I'm talking about, and Ward 20, which is the eastern portion of Trinity-Spadina, is dominated by politics of the northern part of this political area. And the northern part is the annex. And the people in the annex, it's an established neighborhood, and they come out and vote in very, very large percentages. And in the south, in the condos, where we actually outnumber them, we come out and vote in very, very low percentages. So every single one of our politicians is focused on keeping the annex happy and doesn't really care too much about us down here.
But
and
the problem is
it's great that they're going to redraw the lines, the boundary lines, for the next federal election, but we're still going to have most likely another provincial and definitely another municipal election before that. So again, we're going to get screwed down here, basically.
Well, but the
unless we can find some way of rallying everyone together and really bringing some key issues home and try to make a difference.
But Mike, I think the bottom line here is the problem is that, if councillors, if city officials realize that any particular area is screaming the loudest, okay, they will pay attention. But the problem is that it's the numbers. Like if you take a look at the southern section, a lot of the buildings right now, 40% of them could very well be tenanted. And then we have out-of-country investors, we have off-site owners. But it doesn't matter. Even if you're taking 50% of every single building in the downtown immediate south core of Trinity-Spadina, Ward 20, the numbers are ridiculous. Like even if you took the 70,000, you divide it in half, you're 35,000 people.
It's enough to win an election.
Absolutely,
yes,
without a doubt.
And the challenges of trying to get the message out to the people that live in condos, it's not like in a regular neighborhood with homes where you can just go up and knock on the door and leave them a flyer. You can't do that in a condo. You have to mail something out, which costs money. And then, many people, they open up their little mailbox in their condo and they chuck out whatever doesn't look familiar to them. So what we're trying to do with our Residents Association, and we've done it with our first edition, is we put together a very nice glossy magazine that is our newsletter. So people look at it, and it's completely different from the regular flyers they're getting. And hopefully this is going to be enough to engage them and get them out. And we are seeing a little bit of a change at community meetings. There was one this week, and it looks like our message is starting to get out, and hopefully the people in this community will hold our local councillor accountable for the decisions he's making.
Well, I can tell you that, and I thank you again that you, allowed the Condo Owners Association to have a page in TEDRA magazine. It was excellent. Because, the Condo Owners Association, we are, we have local divisions to work with all the different ratepayers associations and the community associations. And exactly, we need each other. And that's the key point.
And our members are just regular people, living their regular life, and we don't know about all these things that you know about. So when we go to a community meeting and we say things, well, we don't know the regulations behind the Condo Act. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and that's where you come in, and it's such a good compliment. So if there's anyone else there listening and they have a residents association that has a lot of condos, I encourage you to get in touch with Linda and invite her out to your meetings and let her explain to you what's going on behind the scenes with these condos, and she'll point out a lot of problems that you may not be aware of.
Thank you so much for that comment. Last week, what was it, about a week and a half ago, where we went out for that consultation meeting, were you not floored? I was floored when city staff made the comment about how they got one condo corporation who agreed to allow the general public to use parking spaces in their underground parking because the owners of those spaces were not utilizing it, and it helps the city with parking amenities when they're somewhat restrictive in the neighborhood and they don't have as many. I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that would actually be a recommendation.
And I just really think that these people that work either in city planning or heritage or any of these other departments, maybe they just don't live in condos. They don't get it. Our fees go towards the maintenance of our garage and our amenities. And they're coming out with ideas, share your garage with the public, share your amenities with the public, and everyone's better off. And that's just not the case, because somebody has to pay for that wear and tear, and it's us, the condo owners,
Well,
that
exactly.
are going to be stuck with a bill. So
Exactly.
they have to come up with another solution.
Well, that was what I brought to the table. And did you notice that even the audience, and just for the listeners out there, I want them to know, because this is, that was an important part, an important fact. The bottom line is this, is that in a condominium, and I'm just going to brief the audience for a moment, in a condominium, if you own a parking spot and or a locker, there is a small portion of your maintenance fees that includes an additional amount to cover the expenses for that convenience of having either one. Now, because you have to understand, I mean, it's not going to be fair for people that don't own a parking spot to have to repair all the membranes and the toppings in the underground parking. So if people aren't using it, that's actually a benefit. That means that there's less cars coming down and less traffic and so on. If you're going to get an overabundance of using it, where you've got the general public coming in and going out and coming in and going out, there's more wear and tear. It's not a situation of somebody leaving at 9 in the morning, going to work and coming back at 5. You're talking about that same vehicle, different vehicles coming in, could be on 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You're doubling up, tripling, maybe even quadrupling the wear and tear on your membranes, which therefore is a huge cost. And we haven't even addressed the issue of safety. So just to put it out there, Mike,
I mean, there's a lot of those issues that are going on, and I really wish the city would wake up. And one thing I'm concerned about, especially, is what they're doing to my neighborhood. When they are tearing down places like Wayne Gretzky's and Restaurant Row and the Princess of Wales Theatre to build condos in the entertainment district, they are literally destroying the entertainment district. There won't be an entertainment district in Toronto when they're done. And what we're going to have is a forest of condos. They're approving condominiums with either zero parking or a minute amount of parking, without even visitor parking, even in most of them. Where do our friends and family park? Where do visitors to the businesses park? And they just don't seem to get that. And I'm just really worried about the quality of life here. And we might see a bunch of people leaving the area. We might see the values of our condos drop. And I'm really worried about retaining the value of my property.
Well, I think, the bottom line is that you've got two things happening in your location. One, of course, is the value of the property and the condos. And long-term sustainability of condominiums is incredibly important. But, it's that old saying, the real estate world, as you know, I'm a realtor, is location, location, location. People buy in particular down in that core because they don't want to be a suburban community. They want to be in the downtown core with easy access to all the amenities and entertainment and sports and everything else. So the whole landscape is changing. The landscape is changing.
The landscape is changing, and you know what? I don't fear change. And, in many cases, I welcome change. But what really concerns me is when you have a local business community that's thriving and you're going to bulldoze it for condos, and the answer I get back from our local councillor is, new businesses will move in. But the problem is when you look at these other condos and you see what commercial units are on the ground floor, a lot of them are failing. There's a couple for lease signs. I see, or you see the same type of shop. Yes, the nail shop, the hair salon. And we're really losing the vibrant businesses that are here that actually makes this place attractive after work hours. So what's going to happen if those places disappear is, after 5 o'clock, is this going to become a ghost town? Is there going to be nothing to do? Are we going to end up like downtown Detroit? What's happening here? Like I said, community meeting after community meeting, we bring this up, and it just seems that no one seems to care. They just want that backdoor deal. Our local councillor wants to cash in on that Section 37 money, and I haven't mentioned his name, but I'll mention it. It's Adam Vaughn. He doesn't listen to the community. He's got almost $60 million negotiated in Section 37 money, which he negotiates by himself with the developer, and he gets to decide how he spends that money. It's just, the whole thing has to change, the way they're doing things down here.
Well, I know that the meetings that I've attended, there actually has been a number of people in the audience that have asked clarification of Section 37. They've asked him directly for a full explanation. They've also asked whether or not there's a governing body overseeing decisions with respect to that monies and how they're spent. And I believe that there's now discussions back and forth in that whole area as to monies that could potentially end up in Section 37, depending on how the structure of some of the, I know that they were going to build one building and they had a certain amount of units, and they may be geared more to affordable housing, a possibility of Habitat of Humanity, and, there seems to be
Well,
a lot of things on the table, is what I'm saying.
yes, there is a lot of things, and as you know, Section 37 money it's basically, the way it works is the city has a certain plan for the area, and the building is only supposed to be so big or so close to another building, and it's supposed to have so many parking spots, and if the developer wants to go outside of those parameters, he pays money, and that's the Section 37 money. And it's up to our city councilor to say, oh, it's okay if you make it bigger or you have less parking, just give me that Section 37 money. Now, that Section 37 money is basically supposed to be kind of like a trade-off that the community is allowing. This is theoretically how it's supposed to be. The community is allowing a bigger condominium for extra money that is supposed to go into parks or community amenities. Now, yes, there is a motion that a lot of that money should go into subsidized housing, which I think most people understand. Yes, it is a problem. Yes, money is needed for that. And what they're proposing on doing is spending that money to buy 20 units per condominium for low-income housing for the new developments. Now, the only problem is some of the ways they're working out that calculation, and I brought up this issue, is it's based on the value of the unit who is considered low income. So somebody making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, even $80,000 a year can actually qualify for a low-income unit in a high property value area in an expensive condominium, right? And I think that whole theory is wrong. I told them, if someone's making minimum wage and they need a place to stay, then sure, let's help them out. But when I'm working, 9 to 5 and 3 and 4 nights a week to pay for my condo, and the guy beside me is working the same day job as me, but he's got community housing. He doesn't have to do all that in the same condominium, right? And I think that whole theory is wrong, and I don't know if there's issues with the Condominium Act on that you've recognized, but that vote's coming up this summer in council. And I'm a little bit concerned how that's going to go down. And even if these low-income units do come to play, then what happens if they run out of money to maintain them and pay their condominium fees? Are they just going to abandon them? Are they going to sell them at market value or below market value? These are answers they can't give me.
But we've identified a few different things. Like we've identified, like if I say we, I'll pull my way away from being the talk show host on the Condo Expert, but instead the founder of COA. What we've identified is that the maintenance fees, say for instance, if a developer builds a building and he maintains the main floor units, there could be agreements. There could be lease agreements. There could be any kind of types of agreements, even with the floor space that they may be maintaining ownership on. There could be agreements with, groups that are going to have daycare, as far as whether the corporation handles the tax dollars for that particular space. There's a lot of additional dealings that are actually in the condo document of any particular development. And sometimes those things aren't made out available in the public. So the problem that we're finding is that, we've got municipal governments doing one thing. We've got the provincial governments doing another. Both parties are holding independent stakeholders, revolving where their mandates are. The question is that the developments are being commissioned as far as getting their building permits and their zoning, and then, it could become an Ontario Municipal Board situation where you and I actually were involved with, going to the OMB, fighting the heritage buildings and trying to see about them overturning the decisions that had already gone down to tear down that Restaurant Row strip along King Street. So it seems like we're going to have loose ends. We have to have them because we're not getting things joining with one another.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right. The different levels of government are not speaking. And just to go on, I just want to continue that point about the developer. Yes, the city is going to the developer and saying, okay, you have to maintain such and such a unit for this group, be it an arts group or low-income housing for X number of years. But, Linda, as you know, that some of these developers are, they're just a shell company. Not all of them are great companies like Tridel. You get a new numbered company created, they build a condo, and they walk away, right? And I don't know what's being done to deal with that situation.
Well, on that thought, we're going to take a break for a moment. We're listening to Mike Yen of the Toronto Entertainment District Residents Association. He's the founder executive. This is Linda Pinizzato on the Condo Expert. We'll be right back.